First item of business is the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Next item is public comment. Looks like we have lots of public, but no comment tonight, so maybe that'll change later on. Mr. Hanna is not here today, so we'll skip that. And so with that, we'll move down. We're going to go slightly out of order here. We'll do the update for the high school, and then we'll come back with the SBIRT after that, so that the students can do their thing and then be able to go home and do their homework or have fun. Yeah. So.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members. Thank you for this opportunity to share with you some of the many exciting events and learning opportunities taking place during this time of year in Malaysia. I would like to start by introducing alt stamping music band teacher, Mr. Andy Toriyama. And the Mount Middle School Jazz Band, accompanied also by Mr. Morgan Peters, who works with our program on Tuesday afternoons. He volunteers his time, does a great deal with these talented jazz musicians, and we are in for a special treat. They are going to perform a short performance, but I'm hoping you add to it a little bit, of Cold Sweat by James Brown. So at this time, I'll just turn it over to them for the song.
Just to explain one thing, so my volunteering is actually part and parcel of a project from the Soul Keepers Limited, a nonprofit organization called the Artist Mentoring Program, AMP, where professional musicians go out and work with younger musicians, aspiring musicians, and Mashpee became our adopted school district for this type of project. We also have a variety of other mentoring programs going on around southeastern Mass. But with no further ado.
Thank you.
Cold Sweat. This is actually the 50th anniversary of the song.
Wow.
So people who have it on 45 might want to hide it. All right. You ready, guys? All right. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Happy So now, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to
Amazing.
take a quick second and just introduce everybody?
Okay, Peter. Okay, I'm Peter DeFrancesco. I'm in 7th grade.
Hey,
And
Peter.
I'm a drummer, but Mr. T wanted me on the bass, so.
You did good.
I think you might know me. I'm Morgan Peters, or Eli Julie. I've been playing drums since I was 4 years old. I'm in 8th grade now. Studying at Freshman High School. So, not really excited for that, though.
Excellent.
I'm Jonah Erdman, and I play the trombone, and I'm in 7th grade, and I've played since 4th grade.
Wow.
Hello, my name is William Henley. I'm a trumpet player, so probably the only trumpet player in this jazz band. I'm in 7th grade, and
Hello, my name is Owen, and I play the alto saxophone. I've been playing since 5th grade. My name is Marissa Probst. I'm in 8th grade. I play flute in normal band, but in jazz band I play saxophone. I'm Stevie Pinhack. I'm in 8th grade, and I've been playing saxophone since 5th grade.
I'm Nick Riley, and I'm also in 8th grade, and I've also been playing the saxophone since 4th grade.
5th grade.
My name is Logan Westcott, and I am the only flute in jazz band, and I'm like the only flute in the middle school band. I'm the only boy in the middle school band. So I'm like the only boy who plays the flute in the middle school band, and I've been playing flute since 4th grade, and I still play it today since I first learned.
Excellent. Well, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Can we have you for every meeting?
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is a good way to start the meeting.
Yeah, that's great. How do we follow that?
Yeah.
All we need is a little beverage in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comfortable
Dimmer
chairs,
lights. Dimmer lights.
chicken wings.
And a motion to adjourn.
That's funny. Lee Francesco is very good too. Good to see you. Yes, he's very good. His hair all chopped up. Advanced embroidery.
I know.
So you have to get really good so somebody else can pack it up for you.
Just walk away, drop
That's
the
it.
His father doing it. Doing it a long time. Yeah. He is good. Probably the best drummer the school's ever had.
We go ahead.
Yeah.
All right, so that was an amazing performance. This group also played at the Junior High Jazz Festival at Nauset in April, and they absolutely killed it. We always enjoy these concerts that they put on, whether it's the jazz band, the chorus, the band. We really do have a very, very strong arts program. This time of the year is both exciting as well as extremely busy for our students and staff here at MMHS. Our seniors are close to finishing up their high school careers. Can't believe it's here already. And embarking on their new journeys while our underclassmen are finishing up the annual testing season with MCAS 2.0 in math and science, as well as the advanced placement exams. I would like to take this opportunity to share with you some of the recent accomplishments of our students and staff here at MMHS. First off, our ProStar Culinary represented MMHS at the Commonwealth of Massachusetts very well in South Carolina a few weeks ago. It was a great learning experience for our team and Chef Holmes, and we are appreciative of the committee's support of such a great learning opportunity. Our seniors are wrapping up their final presentations for the year's senior seminar, A School to Career. Their community projects continue to impress and speak volumes to the type of students we have here at MMHS. A huge thank you to our community members that have volunteered to judge and score the final presentations. We have MCAS and AP. AP, the advanced placement exams, wrap up this Friday, the 12th. MCAS Math has been going on for grades 7 and 8 yesterday and today. We had so many students that took advantage of the extra time opportunities. They worked so hard. We had some students testing all day long just because they wanted to do well and, just make us proud. So that was very nice to see. Our spring sports season is going extremely well. A number of our teams are finding tremendous success this season. Our baseball team is 11-2. Girls lacrosse star Tara Palermo recently scored her 200th career goal. Our girls track team is off to its best record in 10 years at 5-3. Our other spring sports teams are doing very well too. We also, for our faculty, congratulations to Mr. Brian Brody for being selected as an unsung hero by St. Michael's College. He was actually nominated by 2016 graduate Kayla Pulse for a teacher that really prepared our kids for college. A big thank you to Mr. Trianos for bringing in John Kopak, the conductor of the Cape Cod Symphony Orchestra. He came in to work with our strings program yesterday at the high school. We love to bring him back. The kids this was a valuable learning experience. They really absorbed a lot of his talent and advice that he was able to share with them. So again, huge opportunity for our music program. So thanks again to Mr. T. Thank you to Ms. Keller for organizing our annual MMHS Cabaret Night. It was last Friday, very well done. The theme was Ed Sheeran, so the kids really liked it. The adults kind of got into it, but it was interesting. The high school band and chorus concert is coming up May 16th at 7 o'clock, and I encourage everyone, especially after a performance of that, to come and come and visit that. The jazz band is performing at the Southport Scholarship Dinner on May 19th, so it's a really busy time for that program. We would also like to send a congratulations to MMHS senior Eddie Childs III for organizing and hosting an open mic night for students at MMHS to share their talents. A few upcoming events. We have the prom this weekend at Coonamessett. That's on Saturday. Please come and join us for the Fashion Promenade. Starts about 5:30. We'd love to see you there. It's a great opportunity to see our juniors, our seniors. We have a lot of alumni that come back. So it's just a really good community event that we have. May 16th to 17th, grade 10 math MCAS, and grade 8 science and technology engineering MCAS. So we'll have 2 different grades testing on the same day. May 18th, this is a huge night for our community. It's the MMHS Scholarship Night. Starts at 7 o'clock, one of the greatest nights of the year. We send a heartfelt thank you to the Mashpee community for their generous support for our college-bound students. We could not do this without your kindness. May 24th, MMHS welcomes the Recovery High School to our auditorium for a visit with the 7th and 8th graders. What they do is they have a student presentation on substance abuse prevention, so that's always very well received. June 2nd, we have MMHS Class Day for the seniors, as well as the Walk of Honor. And the Walk of Honor is done at KCC at Quashnet. The seniors go back and visit. So it's a really good opportunity for the younger kids to see the seniors. They're in their cap and gown, and it's a good opportunity for the seniors to go and thank the elementary school teachers. So very nice, and everyone enjoys it from all angles. And then, of course, June 3rd, MMHS graduation. We invite everyone to come. It's 10 o'clock at the gym. One of the best days of the year. Then Science MCAS is coming up June 6th through 7th. And then I think we're done with the testing season, June 7th. So let's get there. Let's one thing at a time, baby. One thing at a time. Final exams will be shortly after that. The 8th grade annual trip to Washington, D.C. will be June 4th through 7th. And you are welcome to come at 5 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, June 4th, to see us off as we embark. There's about 100 students going. We have 3 buses, 6 chaperones. I will be attending the trip as I usually do. So that's always a great time of the year. So exciting times ahead, busy times ahead, but we wouldn't have it any other way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the
Thank
update.
you.
Next up is Joyce with the SBIRT, which
Yes,
you'll
and
explain the initials here.
I have a PowerPoint presentation over there, so.
Do you want me to move it as you go along?
Oh,
Are you gonna
that would be
stand over
fine.
here?
Yeah.
Oh.
You want-
Is that what I
Okay.
said?
Okay. Thank you for having me to present to you SBIRT, which is an acronym: Screening, Brief Intervention, and Referral to Treatment. That is up on the PowerPoint. SBIRT came about in 2016 out of the governor's initiative, for getting a handle on drug abuse in the state, and he passed a law, or the state passed a law, an act relative to substance use treatment and education and prevention. So the law requires schools in the state of Massachusetts to screen 1 middle school grade and 1 high school grade for substance use and abuse. So you have the PowerPoint in your packets, by the way, so if you want to look along there so you don't have to stretch your necks. So it's a public health model. It's aimed at preventing the use of alcohol, marijuana, and other substances. It's a structured, evidence-based screening and a conversation with the students regarding substance use, and it's on selective grade levels. So I'll get into the particulars for Mashpee in a moment. What this program is not, it is not a targeted screening for selected students. So it's not, something that you would do on just kids that you might think are struggling with drugs. It's for every student in the grade that is selected. It's not intended to get anyone in trouble. It's not a disciplinary program on any level. It's not a drug testing program on any level. It's not a treatment program. And it's not a part of the student health record or the student's permanent school record. The goals of the screening is that, like most screenings, is to prevent the start of substance use and abuse, and it reinforces healthy choices for kids who aren't using substances. It identifies early risk for substance use and provides an opportunity for early intervention. It also is an opportunity to let students know that there are resources available daily to reinforce their healthy decision-making behaviors and to assist them in obtaining additional support for any substance use or related issue if needed. And that is through the communication that occurs during the screening and the connections that students have an opportunity to make with staff that are doing the screenings. So it is going to be like many of our, or all of our screenings, it's a state mandated annual screening. And we have, as a committee, a SBIRT committee, we have formed at the high school, and it includes administrators, it includes the guidance department, Lindsay Catt, overseeing the guidance people, the adjustment counselors as part of that group, and myself as the school nurse. And we have been meeting for a while to think about how we want to initiate this screening program. And in your packets, there is an implementation plan which goes over all the particulars of how we will implement the plan at our school. And this plan was come about through meetings with the group that I just mentioned. So we all agreed that this would be the best way to start out, and even in terms of the selection of grades 7 and 9, and other factors such as parents wanting or not wanting their kids to participate were addressed in that implementation plan, et cetera. So you can look that over. And I want to say that parents or students can opt out of the screening. So while it's a mandated screening, either party can opt out of the screening. It is a confidential one-to-one screening, so it's meeting with a student, with one student at a time in a private setting, and the people actually doing the screening will be myself and the 2 adjustment counselors, and we'll be backing the adjustment counselors up with the guidance counselors while they're doing the screening in their office during the school day. We'll be bringing in a substitute nurse to cover myself so that I can be devoted to the screening on the days that it's done. And it's really a conversation with a student, asking some specific questions that you have in front of you in that craft tool that I left at each one of your stations. And the craft tool is an evidence-based tool that has been recommended by the American Academy of Pediatrics. And it starts with 4 initial questions that just help the screener to understand to what extent a student is experimenting with substances. So these are quantitative questions. During the past 12 months, on how many days did you? And here are the 4 initial questions: drink more than a few sips of beer, wine, or any drink containing alcohol. Use any marijuana or synthetic marijuana. Take a prescription medication or pill that was not prescribed to you or more than what was prescribed to you, or use anything else to get high, maybe as an example, an inhalant. So if the student in this private confidential meeting with a trained staff person answers no to all of these questions, then you just move on to the first of the craft questions, the questions that are, each letter represents, the substance of the question. So the first question is about riding in a car. Have you ever ridden in a car driven by someone, including yourself, who was high or had been using drugs or alcohol? So that is a question that you ask every student, even if they have no substance use history. And then you go on, you don't go on, you're done with the conversation at that point. And if a student's doing really well and substance use is not an issue for them, then you really give them a lot of positive reinforcement. That's your opportunity to acknowledge their good decision making, to maybe give them a little anticipatory guidance in terms of, the day may come when someone offers you something, or you're curious, or you feel you are interested in trying substances. What might you do if you're in that position? And it offers the students an opportunity to think ahead and to plan and to strategize, how they might avoid that initial introduction to substances. So if the student does have a substance use history, you go on to ask all of the questions. And how many yeses they get indicates some correlation with their risk for developing a substance use disorder, or maybe they already have one. So it helps us to identify those kids who are at risk and needing maybe a brief intervention and or a referral to school counselors or outside of the school. So these other questions are: do you ever use alcohol or drugs to relax? That's the R of the craft. Feel better about yourself or fit in? Do you ever use alcohol or drugs while you are by yourself or alone? Do you ever forget things you did while using alcohol or drugs? Do your family or friends ever tell you that you should cut down on your drinking or drug use? And have you ever gotten into trouble while you were using alcohol or drugs? So these questions and how the student answers them guide us in our next steps. So it might be just a conversation about their experimentation with the person who's doing the screening. It might be a referral with the student's permission to a adjustment counselor, and that person will evaluate further for possibly the need for a referral to a treatment program, depending on the severity and the context in which, you know, they reveal, you know, what their history is. This is what I just was really alluding to. So negative responses, just give commendation to the student, give them a lot of positive reinforcement, and then if they're answering positively to the questions, it's going to give you that opportunity to intervene as early as we can possibly intervene. In terms of confidentiality, the student must also consent to the screening, so the parent might be fine with it, the student can refuse it. And any disclosure of the information that they share, also the student must agree to that disclosure. And the one exception to that would be if we felt they were in imminent harm to themselves or others, in which we would have to, you know, intervene and get the critical parties, parents, et cetera, involved. But we want kids to talk to us. We don't want to discourage them from being truthful and honest, and us having opportunities to get them the help that, that's appropriate. In terms of record keeping, this is an anonymous screening. We don't put names on any of these craft tools. They're destroyed at the end of the interview. We do collect the, we have like a worksheet, and it's later transferred to an electronic data collection for the state. They just want to know the answers to the questions. They don't want, and the age and the gender of the student. They don't want to know who the student is, and that's for, you know, evaluation of the program and you know, its effectiveness down the road. It will never be in a nurse's note or a counselor's note in their record. And then at the end of the screening, we will be providing the students with some educational materials to take from the screening. You know, invite them to come back at a later time if they ever need to talk, if they ever want to, you know, pursue the conversation further. It's an opportunity to make that connection, and they know that there are people in the building that are willing and able to address this difficult topic for kids. Oh, okay, yep. One of the requirements of the program is to inform the parents, and in your packet I gave you a letter that we had written to send out to the parents. It's recommended that it's sent out at the end of this school year for the next upcoming school year. So mid-June I was going to mail that out to all parents of grades 7 and 9 students, and they would have an opportunity to, you know, contact and get more information, opt out, as it says. That's their opportunity to opt out. I also, in the fall, will be doing some education with the faculty, letting them know about what the program entails. There's a short video on the Massachusetts SBIRT site, which is on the back of the implementation plan. There's a website. It's actually at the bottom also of, or somewhere in the body of the letter to parents. Anything SBIRT is there. Any information anyone would ever want to know about SBIRT is at their website. So that's in your packet. Some of the anecdotal notes from other communities. Barnstable did it this year, and Falmouth did it this year on a pilot project, you know, basis. They were the first ones to pilot it. And what they discovered, you know, was that one district did grade 7 and 9, one did grade 8 and 10, and everyone agreed that the earlier the better. So 7 and 9 it was. That's what we decided. Very few parents do opt out. Very few students need a referral to treatment. Let's see. It takes less time to do the screening than they initially thought it would. It takes between 5 and 10 minutes per student. 10 minutes they scheduled, but rarely did they need 10 minutes to do it. Kids have responded positively. They are not intimidated by the questions. They are, you know, we believe that they're, being honest, but for kids who maybe wouldn't be comfortable being honest with their responses, it still gives them an opportunity to come back, to make that connection. And kids have come back and said, what we were talking about the other day or a few weeks ago, I think I want to talk to you about that again. So it's a nice opportunity for them to make that connection. Are there any questions?
So you made a comment, and I think it's referred in here that it's confidential.
Mm-hmm.
So if the screener determines that a individual is at risk, are the parents notified?
If, like most situations with teens, when there's a confidential matter that we're involved in, we encourage the teenagers to engage their parents or the adults in their lives. If we don't believe they're at imminent harm to themselves or others, we are bound to maintain confidentiality between the staff person and the child. The staff person does have an obligation to follow up with the student, to see where they're at, maybe things have changed over time. They will follow up with the student. Parents will be contacted if we feel that it's a critical situation. If a student tells us that they're smoking marijuana, for example, and we don't believe they're at imminent harm, they're not saying they're driving under the influence or they're it's affecting them in any other harmful way, we may not be informing parents because the program doesn't allow us to. It has to be a confidential program. By law, students, when it comes to substance use over the age of 12, have the right to have their information held in confidence. We do have a release form that students will sign if I say to a student, I really would like you to speak to the guidance counselor or the adjustment counselor about what we're talking about, if that's okay with you. And the student says, yeah, okay, I would like to do that. We have the student sign a release for me to talk to the adjustment counselor. And I know that this is a little unsettling for us adults to think that, especially as parents, that maybe something would be going on with the kids and we're not fully informed. And the philosophy behind that is if we tell parents everything that a child shares with us, they're not going to tell us anything, and then we can't get them the help that they need. So it's sort of the balance that you have to strike. If I felt like a kid was going to go home and was at risk of harming themselves or someone else because of their substance use or anything else that they told me, all bets are off in terms of confidentiality. But the goal of this program is to get kids help and to get them talking and to get them trusting adults so that we can help them avoid, what we've seen in so many in terms of the development of such a, life-altering substance use disorder that we see so frequently.
Yeah, with the opioid problems that we have, particularly here on the Cape, a screening that would potentially identify people at risk, anything that we could do to help them get assistance sooner, I'm all in favor for.
Mm-hmm.
All right, any other questions or comments?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, Nurse Joyce, I see that it starts with 7 through 9 in January. I assume it's going to do all the grades at some point?
No, just grades 7 and 9 is what's mandated. Two grades, excuse me, a middle school grade and a high school grade. So we've chosen grades 7 and 9. I don't know if eventually it will be for every grade. Some people suggest grade 6, starting at grade 6, but in our structure, our middle school, high school, I believe grade 6 is the time to be talking about maybe substances in the classroom. It's in the health curriculum in the middle school and in the high school. It's certainly a topic that kids are aware of and are talking about amongst themselves. So it's important to have conversation, but it's in terms of screening, I think grade 7 is the place for us to start anyway.
That's key too, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's key too because the students will be pulled from the wellness classes. So
Yeah,
there'll be an educational component prior to the screening and after as a follow-up in both 7th and 9th grade. So it won't be just they are pulled out of class, screened, and sent back to class.
Yeah.
So if I may follow up, so it's sort of a preventative measure. In other words, you would think, common sense would think that 11 and 12th graders are the ones, ones involved with or closer, maybe to drugs and alcohol, but it's more preventative in terms of catching it before.
The public health model is one of prevention.
Yeah.
Grade 11 and 12 is really too late. They're already, students who are using substances have already started by then. And they too need perhaps, intervention. I'm not saying they don't, but that's what this program is about. Really, is about prevention. It's a place to start, and it's a new program for the state this year. So we'll continue to learn and maybe make changes, et cetera, as time goes on, based on the results that it produces.
And just one more, so it's not 7th, 8th, and 9th. It's 7th
No.
and 9th.
7 and 9,
Very
2
good.
grades.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Mm-hmm.
It is interesting that use of tobacco is not included in the screening.
Mhm.
Is there a reason why that was not covered?
I don't know, to be honest with you. If I think I don't know. I think based on public health statistics, I think this is just more of a more pressing problem. Tobacco use is addressed again in curriculum, and I believe the numbers for tobacco use have declined in kids for a variety of reasons, but I think that this is just the focus of this particular screening at this time.
Any other question, Chris? No?
No, but I was going to give you my theory on that. I'm no nurse, but I would say that because tobacco usually isn't tied to future drug use, like alcohol is a gateway, and other things usually lead to more of it. And tobacco is typically not tied with that, even though it is a problem. But I think that's why.
Well, I look at this as trying to prevent a health issue.
Yeah.
And tobacco creates a health issue, maybe not instantaneously. Yeah, I'm not aware of anyone running into a tree while they're smoking tobacco. But
You never know.
Over time it has the same or worse issues. So
Yeah. I mean,
it's interesting.
tobacco is still a public health problem. I'm not minimizing that, but I think, for the purpose of this, we're just trying to get a handle on the substance use disorder epidemic.
Be curious to see how it goes.
This is very basic information, has been gone over and approved by the Wellness Committee.
Yes, and this has been a very collaborative effort. Health Advisory has been involved in the development of the plan and in our own committee at the school. So,
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Read all fair.
Don't even.
Everything in moderation.
What's that?
All right.
What's balance?
Oh, it's right here. I took yours out. Yeah, I did.
All right, next item is acknowledgements.
Sorry.
She's a little slow here.
on time. Look at that. That's good. Fred wasn't here. Cut us up.
Mr. Scott McGee will be unfortunately leaving us here. This will be his last meeting as a member of the, last meeting for now. Who knows what the future may hold for him. As a member of the Mashpee School Committee. Proclamation here. House of Representatives, be it hereby known to all the Massachusetts House of Representatives over 7 years of all endeavors. Scott?
No, thank you.
In addition, we have a plaque that you can put on your wall here.
I can't even believe that I actually
She went to meetings.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Go on your I love me wall.
That was created at our own fabulous Mashpee
I'm
School.
sure it was. I have proof now.
And
Thank you.
there's a shirt in here. And, two? And 2 glasses.
Well, thank
for
you.
So, congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
I'm
it.
Good to go, good use. I'm sure I'll wear that every day, too. I like to wear things out. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
All right. Next item of business is approval of minutes from April 26, 2017. They're in your packet.
Move to approve.
A motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Chris. Any changes or anything? No? All right. Scott, how do you vote?
Yes.
Abstain?
Yes.
Yes.
And yes, so it's approved. Thank you. Next item of business is ratification of the Unit B contract. So I need a motion to ratify.
Move to ratify the Unit B contract. As written.
And this is for the period 2018 through 2020.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Do you have a second for that?
Second?
Second? Any further discussion?
I just wanted to say that I'd love to vote for it, but I was in another meeting prior, so I was unable to attend. But I have read the details, so I'm going to abstain.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
And yes, so 3-4 and 2, or 1 against and 1 abstention. Pass this down.
All sign.
Yeah. Even the nose.
We still love you, Josh.
That's scary.
Is there anything to the next item? So the next item is we're looking to ratify the I guess the selection and the contract for assistant superintendent, and we'll let Ms. DeBoer go over that.
So we are pleased to announce that Hope P. Hanscom is being appointed as the next assistant superintendent for the Mashpee Public Schools. Hope was the unanimous choice of a search committee that conducted interviews of several individuals. Hope is a Mashpee resident and currently the assistant superintendent in the West Bridgewater school system. She will be here on May 24th for a formal introduction. But she had an event in her district this evening, so she couldn't be here with us.
Okay, thank you. So we're looking for, I'm looking for a motion to approve that appointment and the corresponding contract.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by George and second by Chris.
Can we split those, please? Because I don't have an issue with the appointment, I have an issue with the contract.
That's true.
Okay. So we will make it two separate motions. All right. Discussion on, I guess, for the first one, for the first motion, which is the appointment. None? All right. Scott, how do you vote?
Yes.
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 And yes, so unanimous in regard to the appointment. Okay, so then the second motion is in regard to approval of the individual contract, which we have a motion for in a second. Any further discussion on that? And Scott, I know you were late, but you have the details on that also.
Yeah, I do have the details, but and I probably could vote yes, but I should abstain, just to be
Okay.
safe.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
And yes. So we have one abstention, 3-4, and 1 no. So it's approved. Signatures on both for everybody.
Went back that way.
Right here. All right. We'll move on to the report of the superintendent then.
So in your packet, you have the reports of all of our principals. We have the Kenzie Coombs report with Principal LaBelle here. He has 436 students. In an effort to save a little bit of time, because this is the time when my monthly newsletter will be in Friday's Enterprise, many of the acknowledgments included in Principal LaBelle's report are in this. And so that will be published as well as sent to all the families in Mashpee on Friday. And upcoming events is tomorrow night is the combined Coombs School and Quashnet School Title I Author Night. It's being held at the Cape Cod Children's Museum at 6. And then on May 24th, Kindergarten Here We Come event, which is a very important transition meeting from 6 to 7 p.m. for our soon-to-be kindergartners. Would you like to add anything?
No, I think it summarizes it well. We had a really great week with lots of activities. And right now, we're pretty excited with our booster-thon that's going on this month and our fun one coming up next week.
Thank you. Okay, then we have the Quashnet School report, and Principal O'Brien is here. She has 522 students. Again, most of her acknowledgments I have included in my report for the enterprise. Upcoming is, we already mentioned the Title I Author Night tomorrow night. Next week at the Quashnet School, the 5th graders will be taking their Science and Technology Engineering MCAS, 5th grade only. They are currently day 2 of math tomorrow, and day 1 of MCAS math. That's 3 through 6 this week. And then on the 19th is Family Paint Night from 6 to 8 p.m. And that's always fun and popular. On the 20th is a combined event of the 2 PTOs for the Coombs School and the Quashnet School. It's a mystery theater prom night. You have to be over 21 kind of prom night at the Quashnet Valley Country Club. It's a fundraiser, and it should be Fine, you do have to dress up if you'd like to attend. Promise to be there. On the 23rd of May is the grade 3 step-up night, so that's when all the second graders and their families come over from 6 to 7. And a huge event at the Quashnet School is the annual Career Day, which is on May 26th this year. And if you haven't yet volunteered to participate, we could still squeeze you in. Right, Mrs. O'Brien?
That's right.
I'll be there.
I volunteer.
We always have room.
Would you like to add anything else?
Just one thing, we are very appreciative of the vote at town meeting regarding our school repairs. However, the one thing we didn't talk about is the vote that is coming up on the 16th of May, right here at Quashnet. So it'll be very easy for people as they drop off their children to come and vote to support the Quashnet School windows, roof, EFS, bathroom accessibility upgrades.
Doors.
Doors.
Doors. What else?
I love those doors.
It's gonna be a brand new school.
We have the Mashpee Middle High School report, 719 students in total in those grades. Their highlights are also included in my report, and as Dean Melby already spoke about, the junior-senior prom is this Saturday night, and it's very well worth it to be on the sidelines for the promenade to see how fancy and fabulous our children look. And she already talked about the grade 8 Science and Technology Engineering MCAS, which is also next week, and her scholarship night, which is a very big event next week. Do you have any questions on that report? I know there's no one here to answer it.
I was just curious, is that a typo for there's 10 out of school suspensions for 10th grade?
I highlighted that here because I knew that would be a question.
Oh, okay.
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I hope it
seems
is.
rather large.
Yeah.
I will get that and send it out to all of you, though, the answer to that
Hmm.
question. And then the next report is from Special Education Director Michelle Brady, 306 students on an IEP, and then she lists the different meetings and how she gets herself involved with some of our community partners.
I know they were doing the software upgrade, but isn't that up significantly?
It does appear, as I recall from the last time,
Like 10 or so?
to see be up. But
Yeah.
again, she did explain through all
Right.
the journey switching over to the PCG platform that there was some glitches there. But I can double check on that too.
I just don't ever remember it being over 300 students. Anybody else remember being over 300 students? I don't know. My memory has failed me before. Yeah.
Off the top of my head.
I was gonna say, it looks like,
Come on, it's just numbers. You know, remember them all. I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. I was just curious if it seems, for some reason, that number jumped out as very high, so.
I know that in the previous months, it's been in the 290 range, which did appear to be down, but I'll find out. for you.
Alrighty.
We'll do a little chart. And then we have the report from the athletic director, Matt Taveri. He did highlight we have a new softball coach, Alexis Charest. I think I said that right. 4-year starter in Chatham and played at Regis College, and she's finishing her elementary ed degree at Bridgewater. And the girls lacrosse coach, Arlene Petrunich, comes with quite a bit of experience as a coach for lacrosse, and our girls are doing quite well, so. And I think Ms. Dean Melby did speak about some of the good records of our teams right now, but it's not always about the record, it's about the experience and passion. So kudos to those kids that are playing. So we have 1,677 students in total as of April.
yeah, so this is the same, I think, follow-up question that Jeff was asking. So the total sped number increased month over month from 268 to 283 with, looks like 8 more in the high school and 6 more,
Yeah, significant more at Coombs.
which, yeah, could be maybe because of the,
I would like
3-year-olds, but-
one comment about that, and I think Principal Bryan and Principal LaBelle could also concur, is that many of the students that we have had as recent additions are coming with IEPs. Correct? Okay.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily. Not exclusively, I know, but I know we've had conversations about some of the needs of the students with COLA.
Okay. Yeah.
Love that enrollment.
Then you just have a long list of events that could be on your fridge. You check them off as the days go by. That's also on the report for
Mother's Day.
the newspaper. Any questions on any of those? I will follow up on a little more information on the IEPs and the 10 suspensions in grade 10.
Okay. Thank you. So, next item is the Quashnet project update. So, this is in regard to the windows, right?
Yes, I just wanted to make sure, and Principal O'Brien already did that, but we are very grateful for the way the vote went at town meeting on May 1st. But we want to remind all of the townspeople, and particularly all of the families who have students in the Mashpee schools, that it's very important that they come and vote and participate in the process on May 16th, when there is actually a ballot question that needs to pass in the voting booth in order for us to move forward with the Massachusetts School Building Authority. So I will be reminding parents up through that point, but whatever we can do to make sure they know to vote would be helpful. And we also have 2 school committees.
Yeah, and, you know, you could go on and on about the amount of people that should be interested in that vote. I mean, it's going to become a lot more expensive if we don't pass it, and if we don't have the help from MSBA, the astronomical increase would be crippling. So it should be of interest to everyone.
Okay. Under new business, tuition waiver?
And I'm not sure I'm seeing the backup letter for that. I do happen to know the first one. These are both current students. The first student, due to circumstances now obviously within her control, is currently living in Falmouth and would like to finish out the school year here. And I don't have the information, I'm sorry, JR. I assume it's a similar situation. I didn't get the letters from Gail.
Mr. Chairman, they're both existing students in Mashpee.
They are both existing students.
I move to waive the tuition for AH and JR for the remainder of the school year.
Second.
Second by George. Further discussion on that? We're talking less than a month, or just over a month left, so.
And I may be mistaken, but I thought after May, April? Are we not within the window? It seems pretty close, that we didn't have to waive it anymore. I thought there were, you know, once we break past a certain point, I thought that the student was okay to stay no matter what.
I think whether you can deny them might be the question. I would never want to give up this process because it helps us keep track of
Yeah.
them. Yeah, I think earlier than a certain date, you could say no if you wanted to, and I think after a certain
Mhm.
one, you can't.
Which is fine, either way, I mean, we're only a month away to do that, but
Right.
I just was curious, I thought it was actually a policy already. Okay.
All right, hearing no further discussion, Scott, how do you vote?
Yes.
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 And yes, so it's
I
unanimous.
apologize for not having that information.
All right. Next item is superintendent self-assessment. We're gonna go over it.
That sounds so exciting.
It's very important, though.
Yes.
Eat that sandwich?
Yeah,
Eat
you
that
want some?
sandwich?
You want that?
I'm just joking.
Just the lettuce.
I've only eaten half of it. You
leave
can
it
chew
to
from
them.
the other end.
All right, so I did give you a self-assessment at the last meeting. This is believe Pearson every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection, and insists that they become the best that they can be. And I really hope that that's something that I embody, and that our kids and our students know that they have a champion in me, so hopefully I communicate that well. Let's see. This is our current strategy for district improvement, which is expiring at the end of this year. And we have a draft new, what we're calling a blueprint for progress. But I just wanted to reinforce these are the three big rocks with the three objectives that we are operating under. We have initiatives under each one, but the professional learning focused on curriculum and instruction, where we want to provide professional learning and opportunities for collaboration that improve our educators' practice by focusing on curriculum and instruction. We've done a lot with that. Effective use of data, we want to implement an aligned systems of assessment and inquiry that use multiple sources of data to inform classroom practice for our teachers. And we've made progress on that. And then parent and community engagement was the third big rock. Engage and partner with families and community members in creating a shared vision of a high-performing culture. We're making progress on that. I don't know that we all collectively place a high enough value on learning, because we still have issues with tardiness and things like that from a parent's perspective in some cases. Okay. So tied to that, we, as a collective team, decided on one student learning goal that fit for the majority of teachers, and we as administrators, the principals, have the same goal. So it was by June of 2017, 80% of our students will achieve success in Tier 1, which is the education everyone gets, as measured by the STAR reading and STAR math assessments. Regularly scheduled progress monitoring will take place throughout the year, and those students who are not meeting learning expectations in Tier 1 will receive additional targeted instruction or extra scoops in Tier 2, and if necessary, even Tier 3. So this is what's currently going on. We look at the data that's collected on each student, and through grouping or a win block, we decide on sort of a targeted instruction model for students who need an extra scoop. But our goal with that first big rock is to really improve teacher practice so that we have more of our students finding success at that Tier 1 level. And if you have questions along the way, just interrupt me. See if I can answer. Why does mine not move like this? That's that bigger.
Try one finger.
Finger?
One finger, yeah.
No, one finger's drawing. You'd be my Vanna. PowerPoint.
Defeated by the technology. Move to adjourn. There's gotta be some way of doing that. We have to change this somehow. I know. It must drive you crazy.
Trying to play me, which is this version, smaller. But I can talk.
That's fine.
Okay. All right, so we just went over the student learning goal. And then each of the teachers and the administrators have a professional practice goal. And for me, because I'm a couple of layers away from what's happening in the classroom, in order to have 80% of our students meet academic expectations by the end of this year at Tier 1, I will provide guidance, training, and support to teachers and administrators and paraprofessionals in their application of research-based strategies with fidelity from explicit instruction. So this was a person who provided, basically the equivalent of 3 full days of training for our teachers. And that we're going to use these protocols we have in place from our MTSS work to assess our progress along the way. And we have regularly scheduled meetings. That was sort of an academic professional practice goal, and behaviorally it's basically the same thing except applying some of the strategies that come from Jessica Minahan's workshops with us and her book. And everyone has both of those books. We've done a couple of explicit instruction. We're in the 2nd graduate course on that book, and we did a book study and a blog on Jessica Minahan's book. So from my perspective, I need to make sure that I'm supporting teachers as we get better using the strategies contained in those books. So what I've done in the next one is there are 4 standards that you are measuring my performance on, and the first one is instructional leadership. And what I say is, my statement is that as superintendent of the Mashpee Public Schools, I promote the learning and growth of all students and the success of all staff, thank you, by cultivating a shared vision that makes powerful teaching and learning the central focus of schooling. So it's continually being focused on the value of every minute and how we're using that time and the type of rigor that's in the classroom. My self-assessment gives myself a proficient on that category, but then there are elements within it that so within the standard 1, the first element within this standard is curriculum. The standards-based unit design and lesson plan development. I think that is an area that is currently challenging from my perspective because of not having the amount of time I need to support the people that are doing that work. We did elementary curriculum chairs, which is very helpful, and they have committees, and I read the minutes of their committees and their agendas and don't comment as often as I should. But teachers are not necessarily super skilled at writing curriculum. It's just not where their strength sometimes is. So we still need a lot of work with that, and I'm hoping with the new assistant superintendent that we'll really be able to do a much better job supporting that. But I do want to give kudos to the work that has been going on, mostly teacher-driven, teacher-led. So I'm appreciative of that. Under instruction, instructional practices, quality of effort and work, in meeting the diverse learner needs. I think that I have been pretty targeted. I go in a lot of the classrooms with the principals and also on my own, really looking for the instructional practices that we have provided PD on. We have lots of conversations about them in our Compass group and all over that between what happens with the principals and their walkthroughs and their feedback and what I'm trying to give teachers, we are focused on that as well. Quality of effort and work, not only for what I see with teachers, but also what the students are doing. I always ask the students when I go in a classroom what they're doing and do they know why, and trying to look at the quality of the work that they're doing, not only from what the task is, but then what is accepted from a teacher's perspective is its quality. And part of all of the work that we're doing is really trying to make sure that at a tier 1 level, the makeup of every classroom is so varied now for multiple reasons in terms of learner needs, but helping teachers develop the skill set to be able to meet the kids' needs in their classrooms. It's not necessarily that they go someplace else. And our teachers are pretty masterful at doing small group instruction and seeing the whole child in front of them, not just the student. Assessment, we work on making sure that there's a variety of assessments that we look at when we try to measure a student. Sadly, at the state level, they really only look at MCAS, which is a hard thing for me when I know certain students are much stronger, but they don't test well. So we want to make sure that we have a really good picture of our students by using a variety of assessments, and that the teachers have that data as timely as we can get it to them so that they can make adjustments to their practice so that the kids can benefit. And a lot of the extra scoops that we give kids is very fluid. It's not a permanent situation. It could be just a couple of weeks because we have identified a certain skill deficit that they have. It's not meant to be fixed. In terms of evaluation with the educator goals, observation, and feedback, ratings and alignment review. I currently do the evaluations on all the principals, special education director, the technology, instructional technology directors, and the Title I for teachers as well. But we all often collaborate as a leadership team in terms of trying to help teachers. And we really see the evaluation tool as an opportunity for growth. It's not meant to be the kind of gotcha kind of moment. We really want a coaching kind of model and a mindset around coaching. Because everybody wants to be better. Everyone, no one is trying to just have the door closed on them. So we really have teachers who are open to growth. And then data-informed decision-making as a team of leaders, and then we need to continue to expand that with our teachers. But knowledge and use of data, school and district goals, and improvement of performance, and then the effectiveness of learning. So really it's trying to make, whether it's a decision about one child or a decision about grade level or even a pod of students within a classroom, we need to have the data first before we go about in certain directions. So you can come up with multiple hypotheses to maybe as the reason for what the data is presenting, but you still need to then test what you're thinking about. But we really are working hard to look at, when you get some of the data on a group of kids or individual kids, trying not to just look at that learner. We really want to look at, well, what's happening in terms of instruction for those students, is the curriculum lacking as to why they're struggling, and then what's happening in their environment. And hopefully those are 3 areas we can change before we decide that there's something that we need to do with testing with the students. The next standard is, that's the wrong one.
That's the wrong one.
Sorry. Standard 2 is management and operations, and my statement about this is, as superintendent of the Mashpee Public Schools, I promote the learning and growth of all students and the success of all staff by ensuring a safe, efficient, and effective learning environment using resources to implement appropriate curriculum, staffing, and scheduling, which I did give myself proficient in. And there are elements within Standard 2, environment, which covers plans, procedures, routines, operational systems, student safety, health, and social emotional needs. One of the things I think we've done a really good job at is becoming, or viewing everything as that we are a school system, a system of schools. So when we meet as a leadership team, we look at personnel across the district. It's not school specific, and really what program is needed as a group of students moves to the middle school, and how we move people around. And trying to get ourselves also to be very in line. One of the examples being, we have the Falcon 5 here, and in past years, the Coombs School had Coco's Fab 4. There's no reason the Falcon 5 doesn't go K to 12. So just getting similar language and making sure that all of our schools are safe, and it's not just really for students. I spent today at the Coombs School having conversations with most of their teachers, and in some situations we really have to think of our teachers in a way as our students as well, and our children, that we need to make sure all of their needs are met so that they can really do the best that they can do, because it's the hardest job in the district, is being a classroom teacher. So then the other one about recruitment and hiring and strategies, induction, professional development, and career growth strategies. Every person that comes in has to kind of go through an interview with me. It may be the recommendation of a principal, which does mean a lot, but ultimately we have to go through the process and make sure, in those interviews I try to make sure that the mindset of that person is a good fit for Mashpee, as well as the kind of background that we want, the kind of people that we want. I also meet with all the substitutes new to the district to make sure they realize how important their job is, whether they're in a classroom for 1 day for 6 hours or 10 days in a row. But I tell everyone that these could be the best 6 hours of the day for some students, and that they can make a big difference in getting to know them. The induction and professional development, we've worked together as a leadership team to plan all the professional development this year, and we've tried to make sure, although sometimes teachers don't think it fits them exactly, we need some type of a uniformed exposure to some of the strategies we want, and then we can individualize it down to the grade level. And I work with the mentors in the district. We update the mentor handbook every year. We set up the schedule for this year, and then our mentors take it from there and lead the newest teachers into hopefully a successful career. And then the career growth, whenever I see outside PD opportunities for teachers, I always send them out. Now's a busy time, and I keep sending them out for some of the information about summer offerings. And then we've tried to organize about, I think that currently the plan is for 3 graduate courses in-house this summer. So we're excited to do that. Schedule and management information system, time for teaching and learning and time for collaboration. This is the hardest because it's a resource we don't have a lot of. Even as creative as we might get, there's never enough of it for teaching and learning and definitely for collaboration, particularly at the elementary level. It's really hard. And our teachers do it on their own, but we really need to make sure we're giving them more time for that. Law and policies and ethical behavior, I think I have very good ethical behavior, laws and policies. I know where to go and who to ask if there's something that I feel that I don't know, and I don't hesitate whether maybe we're paying an extra price for that, but I don't hesitate to connect with the attorney on many things, particularly personnel issues, to make sure we don't have a mixed up. Then I work really closely with Paul Funk, and I'm very grateful to Paul Funk. He's an outstanding business administrator, and I feel that I have probably not as close a finger on the pulse of everything as he does, but I do have a very good grasp, and I understand accounting and all of the numbers, and I'm very appreciative that we put the learning of students first, and we do the best we can within our setup. And also, we have a really great team within the main office who's closely monitoring all of it. So nothing really slips by those people. So we're in good shape for that. Okay. Standard 3 is family and community engagement. And my statement is, as superintendent of Mashpee Public Schools, I promote the learning and growth of all students and the success of all staff through effective partnerships with families, community organizations, and other stakeholders that support the mission of our school or district as proficient. So there are 4 elements in there, or indicators. Engagement is one. Family engagement is a subcategory, and community and business engagement. I think we have continued to grow with our opportunities for family engagement, but we still have to do a better job of almost going to them, because in some cases they feel everything's fine and they don't feel that there's a need to necessarily go to some of those things, but emphasizing to them that particularly it happens, I think, as you, other than sporting events, as you move up, but those are the times parents really do need to stay tight on top of know what's going on with their child. Community and business engagement, I've had several opportunities. I reached out to the Chamber for their 2017 Mashpee booklet. I noticed that in last year's edition, there was nothing about the schools. So I approached them and I wrote an article that will be in this year's booklet, and I've gone to different events, and we've continued to work on partnerships. I know our principals are connected with the Kiwanis with their weekly meetings. I have not been able to go to those, but multiple opportunities. I do keep a journal, a daily journal in terms of activities. So in terms of documentation, for any or all of what I do, I have it, and can tell you what date I did what and when. So, sharing responsibility, student support, and family collaboration. I'm trying to do. I understand how challenging it is to be a building principal, and how important it is. And so, whatever I can do, and we do work together on this, but to share responsibility for anything that our students need, and in any way that we can increase our family collaboration. Communication is part of this standard, two-way communication and culturally proficient communication. I think I pride myself on being a good communicator. I answer emails almost immediately. I try to make sure everyone knows what's going on in the district, and it's combined into one place. We have a pretty good presence on Facebook and Twitter, and our website is regularly updated. We work on making sure we're aware of how to improve and recognize and celebrate everyone, not just students, but also faculty, to be culturally proficient, to really be responsive and careful in honoring everyone. within the classroom, just getting an awareness. We have very, we're continuing to grow in our diversity in our students, and we need to make sure that we are very respectful and responsive. And family concerns, we have great principals who handle family concerns, but they do sometimes land in my spot as well. I've always been very focused in switching to a parent hat, and I always understand what it's like for them and will respond. And even if it's really not something I need to be involved with, I will make sure that, the connections are made and that they hear back from me so that they know that we're going to fix things for them as they addressed. And the last standard is Standard 4, Professional Culture. As superintendent of the Mashpee Public Schools, I promote the learning and growth of all students and the success of all staff by nurturing and sustaining a school culture of reflective practice, high expectations, and continuous learning for our staff. And these are the indicators within this last standard. Commitment to high standards, mission and core values and meetings. Our meetings are agenda driven, whether it's the leadership team, it could be Compass, it could be a meeting I have with mentors. They are agenda driven. I continually reinforce high standards. I hope that I'm a model for high standards. And we continually circle back and make sure that our mission and core values are in place. And for me, one of the main ones under that category is that our students feel valued. And if I see that that's not happening, I address it when it's right on the spot. So cultural proficiency policies and practices we have in place. We're always looking to improve in that area. Communication skills. Our teachers are very busy. We try to support them. We expect them to communicate well with their families, but they also have a lot of other things to do. So I just want to make sure that I model for them what I think the communication skills should be, but I also am respectful of their primary role, which is really educating our students. But never do I want a parent to feel that they're not being responded to or heard. Continuous learning of staff and for myself as well. Again, I think I touched on it before. We try to provide PD that we think is going to help us move in the direction we want to move. Sometimes teachers will say that they wish they had more individualized, and at some points that is the case, but really with the MTSS initiative, we wanted to make sure that we all were getting the same learning and the same language. And then I have attended most all of the PD trainings right alongside the staff. I just did one on the last half day, which was part of the Coombs and Quashnet School combined with Nancy Boyle. I feel like I need to learn all that they're learning in order for me to go in the classroom and make sure that what I'd like to see is happening. Shared vision development kind of comes with a little bit under our new Blueprint for Progress, which was first created as a group with our leadership team and then taken to the Compass group for their further reflection and edits. And I believe maybe at the next meeting it will be coming forward to the school committee, and that's part of that shared vision. Even within each school, getting more in sync and developing a shared vision for the needs of their students is important. I know with the Coombs School and bringing PBIS sort of reinvigorating it was present in a little background room there, but coming together, making sure we're all together. Managing conflicts, I think I'm pretty good at. I would like to say that I try to listen to everyone. In the conversations I had with teachers today, often, decisions might be made without enough information, and when you start to talk to the first person, you think something and you're going to go that way, but by the time you talk to all involved, it's generally different than when it started. So it's really important to be a good listener. I think when there's disagreements, they need to be attended to immediately before they fester, and making sure that everybody has a voice at the table and that they're being heard, and that generally results in a better outcome. So that's how I try to do that. And I'll sit up here. I think that, this is my just sort of the last little summary piece. Just reflecting on this past year, what I'm proud of is the collaboration of our leadership team. We are one school system and not a system of schools. We are very supportive of each other. I these people are good for not only reflecting on their own practices, but reflecting on my practice and giving good opinions about upcoming decisions. I'm very proud of the MTSS framework that we have in place to improve outcomes. MTSS is really a 5-year journey to get from where we start to where we feel we're fully implemented. And so sometimes teachers feel it's not quite moving as fast, but there are things that have to be done along the way, but we have made great progress in what is year 2, and we'll continue to make progress. The consultants that work with us regarding MTSS are basically sort of finishing, but because we had a snow day and a few other glitches, they got permission from the Tower family to extend through the fall in terms of their additional consulting days. So we have them, and we'll be doing a report out, a presentation in December to the Tower Foundation family in terms of the progress that we made. I am proud of the professional development provided to MPS educators this year. I'm proud of the support I provide to building leaders and educators. I think I'm pretty hands-on, although I try not to micromanage. Sometimes I think I have a tendency to go that way, but tell me to stop at any time for my principal. I'm proud of the positive relationships I have with families, town departments, and members of the community. I do attend the monthly department head meetings at the town hall. In May, last week, we tried to do it in the fall, but the Falcon Cafe wasn't ready, but the town department heads came to Mashpee High School for their meeting, and so it was an opportunity because at one of the earlier meetings, they didn't feel they knew all the school people, so it was a chance for all the principals to meet all of the department heads, and then we were able to give them a tour of some of the interesting things that go on at Mashpee Middle High School. And thank you to Gus Dickley, who made some nice warm scones that they liked. I'm proud of my frequent visits to classrooms in all schools. I'm proud of the attendance that I have at all events, not all events, at events at the schools, most all, but not all. And then I'm proud of the opportunities we provide for our students and their accomplishments. They really are the bright light, not that I don't like the principals, but the students are the bright light for me. And really going in any room, people that don't work in education do not understand the joy of it all and how it's different every year, but when you look at those little faces, and even when they get to be 12th graders, they still have the cute little faces, so it is really a rewarding way to spend your life. So I appreciate that. And I think that's the last thing, except for why it's just great to be an I think, or maybe there's one more. Oh yeah, one more. So this is, and you have, I think I handed it out in the last folder that you had that was yellow, but in working for our next 3-year plan for improving this district, we're calling it the Blueprint for Progress. We have tied it to MTSS. So the first learning goal is professional learning and opportunities for collaboration that focus on instruction, curriculum, the learning environment, and this is the ICE of ISL that we use in MTSS. And student achievement will improve curriculum, the learning environment, and student achievement will improve educator practice and result in improved outcomes for all students. So for me, it is a lot about the instructional practices that go on in the classrooms and our curriculum. The environment itself in the classrooms is huge, which sometimes goes unnoticed, but it can make a big difference for a student. So that's our first goal, and when you actually see the blueprint, we have, I think, 3 action steps under that one. The second goal is using data strategically. Mashpee Public Schools MTSS problem-solving protocol will guide our practice in addressing the academic, behavioral, and social-emotional needs of all students, resulting in improved outcomes for all students. So it's really, we've created the binder and we have the forms, which is all well and good, but until they become second nature in their use, it won't have the effect we want. So it's still a lot of practicing with our teachers and our team in order to feel comfortable with the forms that we're using. But it's a slow shift to the mindset, so we're making progress. The third goal is engaging all stakeholders. We will foster shared responsibility for ensuring all students are college, career, and civic ready by building trust, collaboration, and engagement among students, staff, families, and community partners. And we do have 3 action steps under that, but that's really important. Even within our schools, getting, and it's usually very common in the elementary, but as you get older, but seeing the connection that teachers are making to those students, they're craving connections, whether you're standing at the door greeting them, you're attending one of their events, beyond being a teacher-student relationship. They really want you to see them as a whole person, and you know, we want them to see us as somebody other than just an educator or principal, or what our role is. So, and then I think it's just the last one about it's great to be in Mashpee, and that we really do strive to be a connected community, and finding connections in everything that we do. It could be an event where we're connecting what students are doing to a curriculum that they already learned, but there's connections in everything we do. It's really important to make sure that we connect with our community. That,
Sorry, was I in the way?
Excellent. Okay.
Anyone have any questions? I'm happy to respond.
25 minutes.
It went by very quickly.
Very informative.
Still 5 minutes.
Everybody take one package.
Yeah, should be one for everybody.
Oh, they're all the same. Okay.
They're all the same.
Do we have too
Did
many?
you get one?
Oh, yeah.
That might help.
Oh, I must have printed off an extra copy. That's fine. All right, so each of the members of the school committee had a chance to go through and evaluate the performance of the superintendent for 2017 as part of the summative evaluation. I took those results then that were provided by each individual and have summed them up mathematically and completed the evaluation report based upon the individual contributions of each member. I also, hopefully correctly, included in the report the comments that were provided by each of the school committee for relevant sections. I'll try to go through this quickly. Hopefully it won't take 25 minutes.
Oh, I did go to
You have 5.
I have 5. Step 1 was assessing the progress towards the goals. Underneath that were professional practice goals, student learning goals, district improvement, and other goals. The rating for each of those, and you have a copy there, was that each of those goals were met. Under standard 1, which is the instructional leadership, school committee's evaluation form is not quite as detailed as the superintendent, so it just has high-level components versus the detailed ones that she completed. For curriculum, the overall weighted average for that was 3.2, which was proficient. For instruction, which ensuring practices in all settings reflect high expectations, etc. The rating for that was 3, which is proficient. The next one was in regard to assessment, which is ensuring that all principals and administrators facilitate practices that propel personnel to use a variety of formal and informal methods and assessments to measure students' learning growth and understanding. That was rated 3, which is proficient. In regard to evaluation, so that's ensuring effective and timely supervision and evaluation of all staff. That was rated 3, which is proficient. In regard to data-informed decision-making, using multiple sources of evidence related to student learning. That was rated 3.4, which is proficient. In completing this, I rounded up if it was higher than 3.5 and rounded to the nearest one if it was not. So simple average. Overall rating for Standard 1 by the committee was 3, which is proficient. In regard to comments,
How does that work?
pardon me?
How does that math work?
We're open for
But, so the overall rating should be at the average of all the other ratings?
just standard 1.
Right.
That's just standard
Because
1.
there was two numbers that were 3.2 and 3.4, so the average should be higher than 3.0.
But each individual, that was an individual item that you rated. So,
Oh, I see, I'm sorry, I see what you're saying.
okay.
Yep.
So, yes, the math doesn't go down, if that's what you're asking.
No, I got it.
Okay.
Understood.
It only goes across. In regard to comments, Superintendent DeBoer continues to improve both herself, her staff, and the school district as a whole. I appreciate her efforts during a long period of distraction, physical uncertainty, and challenges both internal and external to her sphere of influence. Superintendent DeBoer's demeanor, attention to detail, and focus on continuous improvement has been a great model for administrators, teachers, and staff. She has leveraged her former classroom and experience as a principal to identify and provide relevant and timely guidance on instructional practices. The introduction and implementation of the MTSS practices is a major paradigm shift that the superintendent has been leading and is expected to impact instructional practices and student outcomes when fully used throughout the district. The introduction of Camp Falcon for grades 3 through 7 shows the superintendent has willingness to think outside the box in regard to innovative instructional opportunities that can both support at-risk students and enhance learning opportunities for all. As a highly organized, efficient, and detailed professional, Mrs. DeBoer demonstrates leadership qualities needed to properly utilize data obtained from multiple sources in order to create and achieve benchmarks for the district. As data becomes more and more important, she does a great job of adjusting to the needs and learning what information is important to focus efforts on. In regard to Standard 2, Management and Operations, Environment, which is develops and executes effective plans, procedures, routines, and operational systems to address a full range of safety, health, emotional, and social needs. Overall rating was 3.4, which is proficient. In regard to Human Resources, which is implements a cohesive approach to recruiting, hiring, induction, development, and career growth that provides high quality and effective practice. Overall rating was 3, which is proficient. In regard to scheduling and management information systems, uses systems to ensure optimal use of data and time for teaching, learning, and collaboration, minimizing disruptions and distractions for school-level staff. The overall rating was 2.8, which is proficient. In regard to law, ethics, and policies, understands and complies with state and federal laws and mandates, school committee policies, collective bargaining agreements, and ethical standards. Overall rating was 3.4, which is proficient. In regard to physical systems, develops a budget that supports the district's vision, mission, and goals, allocates and manages expenditures consistent with district and school level goals and available resources. Overall rating was 3, which is proficient. The overall rating for management and operations was a 3, which is proficient. In regard to comments and in regard to scheduling and management information systems, there was comment regarding there are numerous issues with the IT infrastructure management and strategic plan. The hardware and software issues and numerous platforms that do not connect or have compatibility are a constant and continual distraction to every member of the school department. If we are to move into an efficient, data-driven, and high-performing district at a much more robust, seamless, and strategic IT plan and infrastructure must be developed immediately. In regard to physical systems, comment, physical systems are my major concern in this area. The status quo needs to be adjusted, and programs, plans, and implementation need to be in line with available funding versus funding to the size of the program. Another comment. Student DeBoer worked with the budget manager on preparing the original 2018 budget and to subsequently adjust it to accommodate the budget cut required by the town manager. The superintendent needs to help the school committee better understand the individual budgetary levers available to the committee and the impact on the social, emotional, and educational welfare of our students and staff. The superintendent has made some progress with new hires to help diversify the makeup of the administration, teachers, and staff, and needs to continue to work on seeking diversity candidates. Superintendent continues to show sound judgment and a model for ethical behavior by treating all students, parents, administrators, teachers, and staff with utmost respect and dignity. Last comment. Significant progress continues to be made in budget analysis and the understanding of top-level policies that dictate the school district as a whole. She has done a great job overseeing the hiring process of staff, whether direct hires or working with the administration on their needs. Morale among employees has continued to be high. Section 3 has to deal with family and community engagement. In regard to engagement, which is effectively ensures that all families are welcome members of the classroom and school community and can contribute to the effectiveness of the classroom, school, district, and community. Overall rating for that was 3.6, which is exemplary. In regard to sharing responsibility, which is continuously collaborates with families and community stakeholders to support student learning and development at home, school, and in the community. Overall rating for that was 3.6, which is exemplary. In regard to communication, engages in regular two-way, culturally proficient communication with families and community stakeholders about student learning and performance. Overall rating for that was 3.6, which is exemplary. In regard to family concerns, which is addressing family and community concerns on an equitable, effective, and efficient manner, the overall rating was 3.4, which is proficient. In regard to the overall rating for Standard 3 Family and Community Engagement, the rating was 3.6, which is exemplary. Particular comments. Student DeBoer sets the standard for family and community engagement. She continually provides new avenues for communication with the community and makes every decision with the family and students in mind. This philosophy would be impossible to achieve without aggressive and out-of-the-box community engagement. The superintendent promotes an open and inviting environment in the schools and is highly visible and active in the schools at activities and in the community. She has worked with the town to actively promote the repairs to the Quashnet School and to try to ensure that the daily learning process during the school year is considered and is not unduly impacted by the work that is being done to the building. The superintendent has been working with the town manager and the head of the DPW to construct a memorandum of understanding that outlines the expectations and requirements for both the town and the schools. Mrs. DeBoer does an outstanding job communicating with students and family. Efficient and proper use of email, phone, and face-to-face communication has been the key to this process. Her passion for engagement between staff and families shows her deep caring for the students and district. Section 5 is in regard to professional culture, in regard to commitment to high standards. This is fostering a shared commitment to high standards of service, teaching, and learning with high expectations for achievement for all. Overall rating for that was 3.4, which is proficient. In regard to cultural proficiency, which is ensuring that policies and practices enables staff members and students to interact effectively in a culturally diverse environment in which students' backgrounds, identities, strengths, and challenges are respected. Overall rating was 3, which is proficient. In regard to communication, which is demonstrating strong interpersonal written and verbal communication, the overall rating was 3.6, which is exemplary. In regard to continuous learning, which is develops and nurtures a culture in which staff members are reflective about their practice and use of student data, current research, best practices, and theory to continuously adapt practice and achieve improved results. Models these behaviors in his or her own practice. Overall rating for that was 3, which is proficient. In regard to shared vision, which is successfully and continuously engages all stakeholders in the creation of a shared educational vision in which every student is prepared to succeed in post-secondary education and become a responsible citizen and global contributor. Overall rating was 3, which is proficient. In regard to managing conflict, which is employee strategies for responding to disagreement and dissent, constructively resolving conflict, and building consensus throughout a district or school community. The overall rating was 3.4, which is proficient. The overall rating for professional culture was 3, which is proficient. Specific comments. Mrs. DeBoer is highly respected by staff and administration. She sets a great example of what the Mashpee schools strive for. Some room for improvement. Getting some individuals on board with district goals is not much. Mrs. DeBoer is present for all school committee meetings and well prepared. District-wide functions are typically organized extremely well, but at times could use more advanced, clear notice to families. The superintendent continues to exemplify the behavior and communication skills of a highly effective leader. She regularly meets with the school committee members to keep them informed and address their concerns. The superintendent has been an active member of the negotiation committee for teachers and administrators and has been proactive in addressing concerns and issues through her insight of both sides. The superintendent chaired the school start time initiative and brought together a diverse group of teachers, administrators, parents, students, and experts to consider all aspects of changing the school start time for each school. This is a difficult issue with a lot of impact on everyone involved, and an acceptable solution is still being worked on. The next step of the evaluation is the overall summative performance. The overall rating by the committee was 3, which is proficient. The overall rating on impact of school learning was high. In regard to comments, there is a reference back to 2C, which is the IT technology, which was listed as needs improvement, and comments were provided. They are quoted here again for clarity. There are numerous issues with the IT infrastructure management and strategic plan. The hardware and software issues and numerous platforms that do not connect or have compatibility are a constant and continual distraction to every member of the school department. We are to move to an efficient, data-driven, and high-performing district, a more robust and seamless and strategic IT plan and infrastructure must be developed immediately. Superintendent DeBoer works with administrators and educators for a shared vision of teaching and learning. The administrative teams develop goals and assessments to measure individual student achievement instead of the whole student body as a bundle. Knowledge through student achievement data is applied back into the classrooms and individual students, and teachers are observed and given feedback they can use in their own decision-making process towards effective practices. A lot of progress has occurred to align curriculum with what is being taught in the classrooms. Each principal has professional practice and student learning goals that are customized to the principals in order to have positive learning results. There is a strong commitment to improved academic, behavioral, and social emotional outcomes. There is support and planning for ample student professional development. There is guidance, feedback to principals, and engagement with every candidate for employment in the Mashpee Public Schools. The superintendent has set high professionalism standards for herself and everyone involved with day-to-day operations of the district. There have been very good communication with the school business manager, town manager, public works director, police and fire departments, also attending monthly town department head meetings in close involvement with the pending Quashnet School window, doors, and roof project. Should include on that, and bathrooms. There is an abundance of community involvement, meeting with families, stakeholders, state legislators, and attending school and town events. Superintendent DeBoer has respectful and productive interactions with people, and it sets a good example for everyone. She is able to recognize multiple sides of an issue and collaborate to find a reasonable solution. As a parent, there is dedication to making the most possible progress towards student achievement every day. The superintendent is active in workshops, seminars, professional development associations, and continues to grow as a leader. Superintendent DeBoer has demonstrated the type of leadership and role model for the schools that the school committee was looking for when she was promoted from being the interim superintendent. She is a model of consistency, always doing what is right for the student first, and going above and beyond to help the school, students, and parents ensure we have the social and emotional environment to contribute to the student achievement and success. It's been a pleasure working with Mrs. DeBoer over this past year, and I look forward to her continued leadership and success of the Mashpee Public Schools. Overall, Mrs. DeBoer is a great asset to the Mashpee School District. Her professionalism, intelligence, and caring for all stakeholders shines through in everything she accomplishes. As she progresses on as superintendent, she is likely to exceed all expectations. Keep up the great work. Last comment is in regard to 3B, which is sharing responsibility. I believe Mrs. DeBoer had rated herself on this proficient. I really think this deserves an exemplary rating. I cannot think of what she might add to the communication and involvement area from her weekly communication to the parents/district to overall community involvement. It seems that every public event I attend, Patty was present. All right? That is everything that is in the summative evaluation. I will open it if anyone has any additional comments that they want to make.
A question.
Yes, sir.
Why is the form that the superintendent is required to fill out different from the one that
Why is
you?
why is
why are they
ours
different?
summarized versus hers is
Yes.
much more detailed? I don't.
No, I can look into that, I'm not sure.
Okay.
It does make it a pain.
Yeah, I can imagine it makes it a pain trying to summarize these things. So.
Well, it doesn't make it a pain to summarize it because everyone is using the same form.
Okay.
But it does, in my opinion, kind of make it a pain because I'm always going back to that evaluation form, which has much more descriptive
Mm-hmm.
components as far as what's exemplary and what's proficient to determine how I think personally I want to rate
Yeah,
that particular line item. And I'm assuming other people have similar challenges, but,
Yeah, I'll check into that.
okay. I do know we definitely need to save the quib notes that we have in regard to how to use Teach Point, which is the form or the application that we used.
That was a treat.
That was a treat.
Since we only do this on a annual basis, and we basically have to relearn and refigure out how to do it. But I think at least what I provided you, George, should help anyone.
Thank you.
Remember how to do it next year, and of course they'll probably change everything next year.
One comment, Mr. Chairman, I actually would like to thank Superintendent DeBoer for the email she sent out explaining to the committee on the steps to get through SharePoint.
Mhm.
Did you hit share yet on your final one?
No, I have not.
Okay, then I can see it.
That was a big help.
Add anything in the little box for the superintendent?
Yeah. I am historically very particular about not sharing evaluations until I have a chance to present the evaluations, because that to me takes all the gusto away from it. The other part that I found, particularly from a business standpoint, is sometimes I get things wrong and need to go back and amend my evaluation. And so if I finalize it, I can't, it's gone. And once I sign it, it will be gone.
Right, you can share without signing.
Okay, right, which I found out.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. But I do believe there's one individual, maybe you, George,
Probably.
who does need to go back in and sign. I think everybody else did sign and share it.
I did, but I'll double check.
But I'll be able to tell when I go back in and look.
I think I signed, I don't know. Please check, yeah.
I'm
I
pretty
thought
sure.
I did think I did.
Thought I
because
pushed
didn't
sign.
think I could
I know,
share it.
I remember there was one.
But,
But I didn't know that you could share it without signing it.
Yeah,
And I
I
think
didn't
I had asked people to sign it. Okay. Does anyone else have any comments that they want to make at this? No? I just want to say on behalf of the entire committee, 2017's been a great year, an interesting year. We've accomplished a lot. We're back to being a level 2 school, and we look forward to the next 3 years. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
With that, do I have a motion?
Use.
Oh, hold on. Hold on. I can't do this. We are trying to schedule a special meeting for Monday evening, and I believe, George, you have a conflict?
I have a conflict.
So you will definitely not be able to.
I cannot attend.
Okay. but everybody else will be able to attend. We're needing a executive session before that?
We're gonna do 6 to 6:15 for executive, and then interview at 6:15.
Does that work, or is everyone available a little before 6?
Yeah, you tell me, I'm good that night, so you tell me when you need me there.
Scott, are you?
I can go before 6 if you need to, yeah.
Anytime after 4:30, I'm available.
Yeah, I can do that. So, we want to do 5:45? Okay. So we will plan on having a special meeting on Monday. That's the 15th. The purpose of that meeting is to interview the special education director candidate that will be brought forward. So that meeting will start at 5:45 with a brief executive session, and then the interview section will start at 6 p.m. Okay?
And we'll get read-aheads for that, right? We'll get read-aheads for that.
And I will give you some questions that if you don't have to use it. And the candidate is also going to be in district from 9 to 12 on that day to tour some of the buildings, so if you're not away, are you away?
I'm away,
Okay.
so thank you.
Any of you are welcome to join us at any time. I'll send out the sort of schedule building to building, so you know when I'm talking.
Okay.
But
Thank
we'll
you.
also meet the person in the public meeting.
Is there any other item that needs to be brought forward for the benefit of the committee at this time?
Well, Mr. Chairman, just on the committee reports,
Yes.
I believe the next meeting of the collaborative is, let me see here, June 14th. And I just want to give everyone a heads up on, for example, tonight, there was a meeting of the collaborative and this board, so I had to run to Osterville and we jammed all our votes into the beginning of the meeting, and then I ran out to come to this. Because we have some tough time getting a quorum in that board of directors because everyone is so spread out. It's from Provincetown to Wareham and the two islands. So so it's hard to get a quorum. And it's, the persons that are usually there are the members from Sandwich, Barnstable, Mashpee, and a couple from Nauset. One from Nauset, one from Orleans, but it's hard to get a quorum there. So maybe you can start looking into who's interested in serving on that. I know that you still have an election still, but maybe you can start percolating on who would be interested in doing that. And it's once a month, and except for August and December. And we're it's expanding with the amount of transportation that the collaborative is taking on, so it's getting more detailed in terms of buying more equipment and buying more, you have more employees that are going to come in for the transportation. And there's several other things I can go on and on about the pending things that have come up, and I had a farewell with them tonight. I was a little happy and sad too. Then they gave me a little gift too. So, but that's a wonderful group, and it's a wonderful program, and whoever's going to get on there is going to be very fortunate because they're going to learn quite a lot. That's all I have.
All right. Yeah, and I know, Scott, you've been our representative on Upper Cape Tech too, so.
Yeah, the Cape Cod Tech and Howard, yeah. So, but that's I think I was renewed. I have to check on that.
Okay.
The selectmen renewed me, I think, on town meeting night. I have to make sure. I think they're gonna send me a letter. Yeah.
Okay. So you'll be the representative along with Dave?
Yes.
Okay.
Dave has 2 more years.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Any other?
One quick thing on, it's already mentioned, Reba mentioned in her report, but on the 24th of this month at the Mashpee Middle High School, the Recovery School is coming down making a presentation, and if you have a chance to attend, it is well worth the time.
All right.
I don't have the time yet. I think it's in the morning sometime, but
Okay.
but it's well worth it if you can find the time.
Anything else?
you have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Scott?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And yes. Thank you.